Ugh, can't stand the sound of my own speaking voice. Hey everyone, my name's Kayla and welcome to my first installment of Pages and Prosecco. I talk about a book and pair a wine with it. I decided to pair Prosecco with this book. Prosecco is exciting, it's flavorful, it's beautiful, but it can also take you by surprise. I did also think about possibly doing a Zinfandel. Bold, has a high ABV, and it's spicy. That would also be a good pairing. Another pairing could be moonshine, but I wasn't trying to go there today. This is the Chloe Prosecco, product of Italy. All right, we're going in. This might be a terrible idea. I can't really tell yet. Maybe I should have popped it first. We'll figure it out. Okay. Oh, yeah. Love that sound. Cheers. Oh, damn, that's good. Okay, today I'll be reviewing Water for Elephants by Sara Gruen. Gruen. Sara Gruen. This book is a historical fiction novel. I personally really love historical fiction because it has elements of truth to it. It incorporates true factoids that are tied in with a fictional story, so it kind of takes you and puts you in that time period without just reading actual facts, like a nonfiction. This one is one of my favorites. It is funny, it's gritty, it's dark. Let's get started. Oh yeah. This book circles around the life of one man named Jacob Jankowski. The book starts with a very gripping prologue. Suddenly there's a disaster march. It's set, I believe, in a circus because everybody's screaming that the animals are loose. They're talking about a menagerie. At the end of the prologue on page 4, it says,
"She lifted the stake high in the air and brought it down, splitting his head like a watermelon. His pate opened, his eyes grew wide, and his mouth froze into an O. He fell to his knees and then toppled forward into the straw. I knew how important it was to keep her secret, and keep it I did for the rest of her life and then beyond."
So somebody dies, and she does it. We know nothing else. Gripping. Pulls you in the first 4 pages. We meet Mr. Jankowski in chapter 1 as a feisty old coot, the ripe young age of 90 or 93, he can't remember. He's in a nursing home, unbelievably fed up with his dull life. I feel like we forget sometimes that our elders were once young and passionate and vibrant people. And so it's really interesting how her narrative reminds us of this. One of my favorite quotes in this book is on page 8. We hear Jacob say,
"Sometimes I think that if I had to choose between an ear of corn or making love to a woman, I'd choose the corn. Not that I wouldn't love to have a final roll in the hay. I am a man, yet, and some things never die, but the thought of those sweet kernels bursting between my teeth sure sets my mouth to watering."
"You're damn right." Now I want corn on the cob. Anyway, old, feisty, nursing home. Suddenly, a circus tent goes up outside of his window, and he's triggered. We can assume the man worked on a circus. Next chapter, we have gone back in time, where Jacob Jankowski is a bright young man of 23. He's taking his final exams. He's been studying veterinary science at Cornell. It's 1931. Suddenly, the dean comes in and asks to speak to Jacob. He frantically begins to ask himself questions any college senior would ask themselves. Did they find the liquor? Well, what about the 8 pages? Dear Lord. If you're wondering what an 8-pager is, you guessed it. It was a pocket-sized pornographic comic book. I mean, hey, even then, satisfaction is a human necessity, so. Anyway, the dean goes on to tell Jacob that his parents have been killed in a car wreck. This author, in my opinion, does an incredible job describing the stages of agony and everything else that comes with it. One of those things is that time is no longer relevant when you're in the thick of losing someone. The way she writes about the next few moments in Jacob's life is very authentic. At one point, we find Jacob just walking, no destination in sight, and suddenly he hears a train approach. And Jacob decides to jump onto the train, the moving train. He makes it. He meets a couple of sketchy characters who inform him that he has just jumped onto the flying squadron of the Benzini brothers' best show on earth. Most spectacular show on earth. Jacob's just like, sorry, what? Camel This new character turns and says to him, and I quote,
You done landed your ass on a circus, boy.
well, damn. In the next few chapters, Camel shows Jacob the ropes. This author does a very inspired job of describing what it's like to live on a circus train in 1931. It's rough, it's gritty, it's dark. I was intrigued. Just a little bit more. So pretty soon we meet 3 more characters. We meet Uncle Al, who is the ringmaster, August, who is the equestrian director and superintendent of animals, and then we meet Marlena, who is a beautiful equestrienne, or a horse dancer. She's also August's wife. They find Jacob, they bring him into their quarters, they start to interrogate him. They end up letting Jacob stay on with the circus because he is a vet. Or basically, who needs that diploma, right? Uncle Al, the ringmaster, will basically do anything to be better than the Ringling Brothers. And I mean anything. Speaking of the Ringling Brothers, girlfriend over here, Sara Gruen, did her homework. Obviously, the Benzini Brothers was not a real circus, but she modeled a lot of the events in this book from our history of the American circus. Fun fact, the Ringling Brothers' greatest show on earth was founded in Baraboo, Wisconsin. One of my very best friends is from Baraboo. In college, we actually got to perform together in the Al Ringling Theater, one of the coolest old theaters I've ever performed in. I swear you can still smell the popcorn. So anyway, back to Uncle Al doing anything he can to be better than Ringling. He acquires an elephant named Rosie from another traveling show that flopped. Rosie, the elephant, is 53 years old, huge, and unlike anything anyone has ever seen. How curious, how exciting. The man who sells it to Al says,
This here's the stupidest goddamn animal on the face of the earth.
rude. Jacob figures out a way to communicate with Rosie, which actually is a fun little twist if you ask me. They all work together to incorporate Rosie into the grand spectacle with Marlena riding Rosie and dancing and performing with Rosie. It's successful. People love it. So August takes the 3 of them out for a night on the town. Now remember, this is a time of prohibition, so alcohol is not allowed. So this is one of those real speakeasies. They find themselves in Chicago. They tell the password, they go all the way down in there. They start drinking champagne and booze and having a great time and dancing. And events ensue. Marlena is beautiful and kind with an intense love of animals. Jacob is just smitten with her. He's secretly falling for her. He obviously can't tell anybody because she's married and, she's married and he's just trying to pray his feelings away. Marlena's husband, August, is controlling and exceptionally cruel. Nowadays, we could probably attribute the characteristics of August to manic depressive disorder or bipolar disorder. But back in 1931, he was just considered a dangerous, crazy son of a bitch. It's engrossing, and I won't give it away, but we do know from the prologue, as I stated earlier, that somebody dies and she did it. One thing I do want to say is that there is a movie version of this book. Now, if you're a reader like me, you know that the book is always better. It is exactly the same with this one. In the movie, Reese Witherspoon portrays Marlena, and actually she does a pretty good job. I very much enjoy Reese's performance. Christoph Waltz portrays August, and he does a really good job at being really dark and gritty, and you just kind of hate him. Robert Pattinson plays Jacob. Nope, sorry, can't do it. That's just my opinion, but don't do yourself a disservice, read the book. So yeah, if you're looking for a good read and you want something exciting and funny and historical, Water for Elephants, give it a try. Anyway, that's my review of this book. I highly recommend. I'm in quarantine with the rest of the world, so I'm just gonna be reading, and yeah, let me know what you thought. Cheers, happy reading.